Good evening, Villa fans, and welcome to a reaction to the Europa League draw that took place earlier today. I'm sure that we've all seen who we've got, and sort of the headlines of it is a John Duran reunion as we take on Fenerbahce in Turkey. Also a trip to Rotterdam to play against Feyenoord. Obviously, Rotterdam is where Aston Villa in 1982 won the European Cup against Bayern Munich. So a lot of sort of memories for that one. And then we're familiar faces. We're up against young boys who we beat last season in the Champions League, and obviously Bologna as well. So a couple of new faces there, and in between those, we've got games against Basel. Go Ahead Eagles, another Dutch team as well, unheard of Dutch team. Maccabi Tel Aviv, Israeli club as well, and also Red Bull Salzburg of Austria. So lots of to get our teeth into really. The actual group itself, it could have been worse. Let's be honest. There's no Roma, there's no Porto, there's no Rangers. Although I take Rangers at the moment. We kind of avoided the massive hitters. And if you look at the two pot one oppositions that we've got is Feyenoord and Salzburg. Feyenoord, and I'll come on to them in a moment, have lost quite a few players from last season to now as well. So yeah, it's going to be some tricky games there. Obviously, Basel are a decent side. Fenerbahce are going to be a difficult atmosphere in Turkey when they've just got rid of Jose Mourinho today as well. So a new coach is incoming for them. John Duran has scored, but seen his game time limited. El Nasri is a big danger for them as well. So I just wanted to sort of focus on what I thought about the draw. I think it's a good draw. I think it's a table that we can, 8 games that we can possibly win 6 out of the 8 there, possibly, and maybe look to get a couple of draws, maybe in Turkey, and Basel will be tricky as well. So, but I think that's a pretty good draw for us, all in all. And I just wanted to sort of touch upon the teams that we are going to play. So beginning with sort of Feyenoord, obviously Dutch team, Robin van Persie as their manager, ended up 3rd in the Eredivisie last season, 11 points behind PSV, who were top goal scorers for them. And they've seen a few of these move on. A couple of these is Igor Paxal, who scored 18 goals for them last season. He's since moved to Marseille. And Santiago Jimenez, who has since departed for AC Milan, who got 16 goals for them. So they've lost 2 of their top goal scorers from last season. They have another danger player called Musa, who's a centre forward. I think he's a Moroccan striker, and he got 11 goals last season. So he'll be there kind of one to watch. But they've also brought in a very, very good attacking midfield player called Stem Steen. I think that's how you say it, from 20 for 10 million. And he's got an unbelievable record. I mean, last year, he played 33 games in Eredivisie and scored 24 goals from midfield at number 10 position, 48 appearances, 31 goals in total. So he is, by far their danger man. And I mentioned about Paxal leaving. They've also lost the likes of David Hanko, who's a big centre-back for them. He's now moved on to Atletico Madrid after a move to Al Hilal fell through. And they've also sold an up-and-coming attacker, Milambo, to Brentford for 20 million as well. So they've lost quite a few players. And the one player that I haven't mentioned is obviously Zeppi Redmond, who we snapped up from their kind of under-21s side, really. So interesting to see if Zeppi Redmond gets an opportunity to play against Feyenoord. But yeah, Feyenoord are not the same kind of team as they were, and they've lost some key personnel. So I think they are going to be slightly weakened. But let's see, they can still do some transfer business between now and when we play them. And I think they will. We've also got previous players that have played for both teams, like Ron Blah, who was quite successful at Feyenoord. So yeah, let's see how it goes. But Feyenoord, that's your little, 2 minutes on them. Red Bull Salzburg, Austrian team, finished 2nd, 2 points behind eventual winners Sturm Graz. So really close title race there. Top goal scorers for them last season, again, have both moved on. this is the problem. So they had an attacking midfield player called Alexander, I think it's Glock, who's gone on to Ajax for 12, I think it was 12 million, 14 million, 14 million. Scored 12 goals last season. And then they had a winger called Douglas Nene, who got 15 goals for them. And he's just signed for Fenerbahce, but for 18 million. So we will be coming up against him, but not in a Salzburg kit, in a Fenerbahce kit. So Douglas Nene, 21-year-old Brazilian, 18 million to Fenerbahce. They've also got a guy called Dedic, who they've sold to Benfica for 12 million as well. So, you know, they are scored for Liverpool against Aston Villa on one of rare occasions that he played for Liverpool. But he's one of their sort of midfield players that pulls the strings for them. And they currently got a player who's in good form at the moment this year called Ratkov, who's got 6 goals in their opening 10 games in all competitions. So, yeah, you know, they're a team who basically sell for profit, buy cheap, build them up, give them a platform, sell them on. That's just their model, and fair play to them. It works really well. So that's your sort of 2 minutes on Red Bull Salzburg. Maccabi Tel Aviv. Now, you know, this club is finishing second in the Israeli league, 1 point behind Beersheva, Maccabi Beersheva, I think it is. So that was a really close title race. They were the highest goal scorers in the league, scoring quite an impressive 56 goals in 26 matches. So really high goal scorers there, averaging what's happening 2 a game. Top goal scorer, they've got a striker called Dor Turgeman, who got 20 goals in 45 appearances last season. They've just sold the other striker, Wesley Patati, to, I think it was, is it Villarreal? I can't remember. He's just gone today. AZ Alkmaar, I think it might be actually. But he's just gone. But he had 13 goals in 41 appearances last season. So again, they've had to sell some of their good players as well. And sort of their danger players, I mean, they've got a centre-back called Nemanja Stojic, who scored 6 goals from centre-back, which is very good going. And then they have a playmaker called Dor Preetz, who scored 16 goals in 52 appearances. So Dor Preetz and Dor Turgeman are going to be the ones who are unlocking the door for them. Pardon the pun. There you go. And then obviously Fenerbahce, probably the club that we know most about. Mourinho went today, so they are without a manager. I'm sure they've got someone lined up because you don't get rid of players. John Duran making a return to, against Villa, but obviously this is in Turkey. Diego Carlos, if he's still there, but it looks like he's free to leave the club apparently, so I'm not sure he'll be still with Fenerbahce by the time we play them. But they finished second in the Turkish Super League, 11 points behind Galatasaray. They were the second highest goal scorers, and they scored 90 goals in 36 games. I mean, what the heck is going on with the defenders in the Turkish league? I mean, that's an amazing record. It's like 3 goals a game almost that they're sort of averaging there. So the second highest, and Galatasaray scored 91, so just one more than them. Top goal scorer, Yusuf El Nesri, a player that we have had links with. He got a very impressive 30 goals in 53 appearances last season. So he is definitely one to look for. Gives me Jonathan Kodja vibes every time I see him play. But he knows where the back of the net is, and given half a chance, he will score. He is a massive fox in the box type striker. So, and their players to look out for, obviously, Jean Duran. They've got a guy called Talisca, who I think they bought from El Nasser, who's done really well for them as well. And obviously, as I mentioned, this guy, Douglas Nene, who they picked up from Red Bull Salzburg for 18 million recently, 21-year-old Brazilian, highly rated. And I'm sure that he's going to, do really well in that Turkish league and probably kick on from there to a higher league, maybe the Premier League or Spanish League or even Bundesliga one day. So, yeah, Fenerbahce are going to be a dangerous side, and that's going to be an interesting game in Istanbul when we play them in Turkey. So, and then we're looking at young boys. Obviously, we know them for last year. We beat them 3-0 in the end. I think Tielemans scored the opening goal. I remember Onana scoring from range. Jacob Ramsey scored a goal in between that as well. So yeah, we've played young boys on their Wankdorf Stadium, their plastic pitch, but this time they're coming to Villa Park, and they finished third in the Swiss League, 12 points behind the eventual winners Basel. Top goal scorer for them is an ex-Rangers striker called Cedric Itten, who got 12 goals in 52, so not massively impressive. They have another attacking player called Faznat, who got an impressive 11 goals in 20 appearances. He plays kind of on the wing, so yeah, he did really well. Dangerous player for them is Chris Badea, who started this season on fire, 4 goals in 7 games, and I think he scored the goal that got them to this Europa League as well. So Chris Badea, I think he's a 28-year-old Kenyan striker, but definitely one to look out for. They like to do obviously business as well to stay afloat. They sold one of their star defenders, Apkikam, to AC Milan for 10 million, and they've sold their playmaker Filip Jugrovic to Valencia for 4 million as well. So again, selling to survive and then buying players up, building them up, selling them on for profits. That's how a lot of these kind of teams will operate, and that's exactly what young boys do as well. And then if you look at their fellow Swiss team and the eventual champions of the Swiss League, Basel, 10 points clear of second place Servette. They scored 91 goals in that season as well last year, so they definitely know where the back of the net is. And a lot of those goals was coming from a familiar name, Duran Shaqiri. He's still got, dynamite in his boots, 12 goals in 39 appearances for them. They also had a guy called Traore, who plays on the wing, 14 goals from him. They've signed a striker called Brož Sineski. I think it's from Hoffenheim for 1.8 million. And he started this season really well, 2 goals in 3 games. So Shaqiri is going to be the one who pulls the string. He's not the most mobile. You get somebody on him, like a Kamara, to sit on him. Is he going to be able to get away from him? But if you let Shaqiri anywhere near the box from distance, for set pieces as well, free kicks, he will be a danger. He's still got dynamite in those boots, even though he's pushing on probably mid to late 30s, I would imagine, at the moment. But Shaqiri, definitely a danger man and definitely still doing it in the Swiss League anyway. And then the last 2 teams we're looking at, Bologna, obviously familiar name to us from last season. We beat them. John Duran scoring a goal, I remember. Was it John McGinn with a free kick that went straight in as well? I think that was a Bologna game. I'm sure it was. So they finished 9th in Serie A. And their top goal scorer last season got 17 goals, a guy called Orsolini, who plays from the wing. So 17 in 43 appearances. And then the other players that they've got are a striker called Castro, who's a 19-year-old Argentine striker, up and coming. They've also recently just signed Jonathan Rowe as well, for 17 million after he had a bust up with Rabiot at Marseille, and it was told basically sling your hook. So he's now joined Bologna for 17 million. I do like the look of him. I thought even when we played Marseille, he was always an outlet and a danger for them. So he'll be one to watch for sure. And I don't think he'll be hanging around at Bologna for too long. I think he'll get a bigger move somewhere. So Jonathan Rowe is one there. Jean Lucchini, their centre back. I think he's Colombian. Been linked with Sunderland quite heavily in the recent weeks. Looks like he could be heading to the Premier League, but he's still there for now. And they've gone down the sort of experience route in terms of their recruitment as well. They've brought in Ciro Immobile, who's a 35-year-old Italian. I think they got him from Besiktas. But he, given a chance, he will know where the back of the net is. He's got good pedigree, good experience, and he'll be someone that adds to their attacking output. And then they also got another Italian veteran, I'd say, Bernardeschi from Toronto, from the MLS, after he was released. And he's also signed up for Bologna as well. So they've got a front 3 of Jonathan Rowe, Bernardeschi, and Immobile, with Orsolini obviously backing that up. And Castro is a young and up-and-coming striker who scored 10 goals in 49 appearances last season. So, they've got, I think they've got more firepower now than they did when we played them. Based on that, so I don't remember who was playing up front for them. I think they had that Dan Endo, who's gone to Nottingham Forest for like 40 million, but personally I never really rated him. So anyway, it'd be interesting to see Bologna again, and see how they get on. And then the last team, and probably the team that nobody's really heard of, and Go Ahead Eagles. I mean, it just sounds like a made up team, doesn't it? Sounds like a Sunday League team or something. Like a pub team or something. So go ahead Eagles. They finished 7th in the Eredivisie. I think they must have won a domestic cup to get this Europa League space. But there's not a lot of information out there on them. Top goal scorer for them last season was a guy called Jacob Bream, who got 11 goals in 31 games. And they've had to sell their star player, who was a guy called Oliver Antman, to Glasgow Rangers recently. So I don't think Go Ahead Eagles are going anywhere, to be fair. I think they're going to really struggle. But it's obviously their first time in Europe, I believe, as well, for a really long time. So they're obviously there for the experience and for the money and all that sort of stuff. And it'll be an interesting away trip to, I'm not sure if are they Amsterdam based or are they sort of more towards Rotterdam or wherever. But, it'd be an interesting game to play against Go Ahead Eagles. And, definitely a different name there, because Bologna we know, Young Boys we kind of know. Basel, I think we beat many years ago in the Intertoto Cup final back in the year 2000, I think it must have been, when sort of David Ginola was playing for us. So we've got a little bit of history with them. Fenerbahce, I'm not sure we have any history with them. In terms of players that have played for both, obviously John Duran, Diego Carlos, Dalian Atkinson. He played for Fenerbahce. There you go. There's a name for you from the past. Maccabi Tel Aviv. I'm trying to think. We had an Israeli fullback called Najwan Garaib back in the sort of early to late, I think it was late 90s. I think John Gregory might have signed him, actually. I can't remember any other Israeli players that we've had. Obviously, Yossi Benayoun has not played for us, but a good Israeli player. Maccabi Tel Aviv. I think Robbie Keane was their manager a couple of years ago. I've got a feeling that Robbie Keane was there. But yeah, I'll have to look at that a bit more closely. Red Bull Salzburg. I can't really give you any links to Villa there. I'm not sure if there are any. Please let me know in the comments. And then Feyenoord, I mentioned sort of Ron Vlaar, Zeppi Redmond. There must be a couple more players. I think Karim El Mohammadi. There you go. Pluck that one right out of the top drawer. There you go. El Mohammadi. Not Ahmed El Mohammadi, not the Egyptian, but we had Karim El Mahdi. That's what his name was, but he was not a really good player. But he came from Feyenoord. Remember that. Wilfred Belmer was PSV. But anyway, if you can think of any more players that have played for Feyenoord and Villa, drop them in the comments as well. So, guys, I just wanted to jump on, give my reaction to the draw, give you a bit of insight to a few of the teams, maybe tell you something that you didn't know about them. Maybe you've learned something by listening to this. Please do like, subscribe, comment as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts on things. Regarding transfer news, it's, we had Maximiliano Bia apparently linked with us. That's gone cold. Today, Georgios Mikataudis, what his name is, from Lyon, that's gone cold. So it's like nothing's happening. Asensio, it seems to be edging closer. So I think we just need to put £5 more in the pot, and we've got him. And it's just dragging on and on. I mean, it's going to get to 6:59 on Monday, and we're probably not going to have anyone. But let's see. We've also got the game with Crystal Palace coming up on Sunday night. So it'd be interesting to see if we can get our business done before 7 o'clock on Monday. But I was hoping for 2 or 3 arrivals, and that doesn't look likely now. Doesn't look likely at all. So disappointed, and we are limited to our dreams because of PSR. So that TIFO there is a load of bollocks. But anyway, guys, if you like what you've if you like what you've heard and watched and listened to, please do subscribe. Please do comment, and smash a like on this. Let's try to get up to 25 likes. There you go. There's a like target. Until the next one, guys, over and out and up the Villa. Bye-bye.